Okay, boys and girls, this is our review for Chapter 8. Let's look at the first one. What you need to do is you're going to solve for the variable. So I look at the first problem. I see a plus 17 equals 34. So what I need to do is isolate the variable. To do that, I need to get rid of 17, and to do that is to do the inverse operation. So I see that it's adding, so we're going to subtract 17 on both sides of the equation. And when I do that, I have left a, because you want the variable by itself, equals 34 minus 17 is 17. To check the problem, what you would do is take 17, put it back in for a, substitute. 17 plus 17 equals 34. Check your math. Is 17 plus 17 34? It is, so that problem works out. The next one, the second one there, y minus 12.89 equals 14 7/10. I see that it's subtraction, so I need to add 12.89. Let me just make this a little bigger. So I'm going to add 12.89 to both sides of the equation. Okay, so then I have y, because these cancel out, equals, and when I add decimals, remember you should be lining up the decimal. So let's just go to a new page, and I'll show you what I mean. Let's see. Oop, wrong thing. Sorry. So we have 12.89, or 89 hundredths, plus, I believe it was 14.7. Let's go back and double check. Yep. Okay. So when I do this, I'm going to line them up. We want to add a 0 here. You need to line up the decimals when you add or subtract. So I add, put a 1 up, so I'm going to get 7. So I get 27.59 is my answer. So it's 27.59, which is 59 hundredths. Plug that back into y, and you'll see that it does work. Number 3, let me just make it a little bit bigger. We have 4/3 p equals 144. So if you remember in class, we talked about when you have 4/3 p, what you're doing is you are multiplying. So the inverse operation is to divide. However, when you divide a fraction, it's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So what we said in class is just flip it. So it will equal 144 times 3/4. And if you notice right here, these cancel out. You get left with p. P equals, and right here I can simplify. So you could, let's start off by 2. So if I simplify by 2, I get 2 and 72. And if you look again, I can simplify again. So it's 1 and 36. So 3 times 36 is 108. And the answer is 108. And if you want, you could put it right back into the equation, and you'll see that it will work. Next, make a number line. So what I told you in class, what we really should do is start with the number right in the middle. So you have 18, and I would do 2 or 3 on each side, 19, 20, 17, and then 16. M is greater than or equal to 18. So we know we're going to start on 18, and it's going to be a closed circle. The reason why it's a closed circle is because it's equal to. Now what I would do is, just to play it safe, is try these two numbers into the inequality and make sure it works. So 17. Is 17 greater than or equal to 18? No. So it should go to the right, but let's try it again. 19. Is 19 greater or equal to 18? Yes. So the arrow goes that way. Next one is 7.9. So we're going to start with 7.9. And then what we're going to do is go up by 1/10 because it's 0.9. So it's 9/10. 8 and 1/10, 7 and 8/10, 7 and 7/10. Now this one is going to be closed circle again, and we're going to do it around 7.9 because it's equal to, also less than or equal to. So try both numbers. So 8 is less than or equal to 7.9. No. Is 7.8 equal or less than 7.9? Yes. So we're going to go to the left. Okay, next one. Spider-Man has some webs. Okay, so when I start this, I already know that well, let's read the whole question first. Spider-Man has some webs. After making 420 webs, he now has 1,050 webs. How many webs did Spider-Man start with? So that's what we're looking for. X is going to equal what Spider-Man started with. How many webs he started with. Okay? So we're going to start with X. So it says X, he has some webs. That's the X. Then it says after making 420 more. So if he makes more, we're going to add 420. This will equal, because he now has 1,050. So what we need to do is isolate the variable. So subtract 420. Subtract 420, the inverse operation. X will equal 630. So the answer is going to be 630. Now I want you to check this by taking your 630, putting it back in, substitute it into X, and see if it works out. Now you also need to label. So it's going to be Spider-Man makes, or Spider-Man started with 630 webs. Okay, next page. Okay, so the next one is Doc Ock is 4 times as old as Spidey. The sum of their ages is 75 years. How old is Spidey? So what I would do is, the best thing is to make a little chart. So we have Doc Ock and we have Spidey. And what we're looking for is the unknown is Spidey. So I'm going to put a variable as X. Doc Ock is 4 times as old as Spidey. All right, so X will equal Spidey's age. I'm just going to write Spidey for Spidey's age. All right, the sum of their ages, so it's 4X plus X, because it's the sum, which means adding, which is equal to, or equal, is 75 for 75 years. So combine like terms. So I have 5X equals 75. What you're going to do now is inverse operation, so it's multiplication. So I will divide. So divide by 5. So X will equal 15. So Spider-Man is 15. If I wanted to find out how old Doc Ock is, I would put 15 in and substitute for X, and Doc Ock would be 60, but I don't need that. So Spidey, or Spider-Man, is 15 years old. Okay? Girl gets $5 for every 8 spider webs. So she gets $5 for every 8. So it's really a ratio, which is like a fraction. So what is the minimum amount of spider webs Spider-Girl can make if she wants to get $25? So here's $25. So what we need to do is we got to figure out the minimum. So we're going to do 5/8 X. And then what I want to do is figure out what the minimum is. And when I do the minimum, I need to figure out if it's going to be less than or greater than. So we're going to do greater than or equal to 25. The reason why I'm doing greater than or equal to is because we want to try to find the minimum amount. So what we need to do is get rid of 5/8. So let's just put a new screen. So 5/8 X is greater than or equal to 25. Okay, so if you remember, we're actually going to divide by 5/8, which is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal, which is 8/5. Times both sides by 8/5. So we're going to simplify, so we get X is greater than or equal to, and I have 40. Okay, so let's go back. So the answer is X is greater than or equal to 40. So the minimum amount that she could do is 40. So 40 is the minimum amount of webs, so you would have to label that. Okay, next one. Okay, so next problem. Spider-Man was in a contest and climbed X buildings for $12.50. He received less than $120 from the commissioner. So he received less than $120. Okay, find the greatest number of buildings he can climb. So the greatest number of buildings is going to be $12.50 times X. What we're going to do then is we're going to divide by 12.5 or 12.50. It really doesn't matter. And X is going to be less than, it says 9.6. So we have to have a number less than 9.6 because that will give us the greatest possible number of buildings he can climb. So the greatest possible buildings he's going to climb has to be a whole number. So it's going to be X will equal 9 buildings.